Hi guys, welcome to my channel. In today's video, I'll be talking about alternative medicine, particularly when it comes to cancer treatment and why I'm not a fan. But before we get into that, let's talk about Steve Jobs. Everyone knows who Steve Jobs was. He was the co-founder of Apple, previous owner of Pixar. He raised the stakes when it came to laptop and smartphone design, but sadly he passed away in 2011 at the age of 56 from pancreatic cancer. What most people don't know was that Steve's cancer was actually diagnosed by accident several years earlier on a scan looking for kidney stones. At the time, the tumor was confined to his pancreas, and following a biopsy, it was found that this was actually a rare form of cancer called a pancreatic neuroendocrine tumor. It is only seen in about 1 in 100,000 people, and it's slow growing and less aggressive than its more lethal cousin, the pancreatic ductal adenocarcinoma. At the time of diagnosis, he was advised to have surgery to remove this tumor, but he declined and opted to go for alternative therapy and embarked on a treatment course consisting of changing to a vegan diet, acupuncture, juice cleanses, and some spiritual counseling. Predictably, that didn't work very well, and he ended up having surgery 9 months later, by which time the cancer had already spread to his liver. After he came back to conventional therapy, he stated that he regretted having not gone down that route earlier and having opted for alternative therapy first. He tried several experimental surgeries and treatments in and outside the United States. In 2009, he had liver transplant in an attempt to rid his liver of all the tumor cells, and also later that year went to Switzerland for some molecular radiotherapy treatments, which involved injecting radioactive isotopes into his bodies, which were engineered to target the cancer cells. None of this really made a difference because sadly he passed away a few years later. This begs the question, why do people who, even as influential as Steve Jobs was, who he know that had access to the best medical therapy and best medical advice out there, why did someone like him and people in general choose to go for alternative therapy? When I was doing research on this topic, I came across an article that I think summarized it clearly. One of the reasons is that people think that just because something is natural, it does not have any risk. I come across this all the time when I speak to patients who are choosing to go down that route, and that's the fact that conventional therapy is seen as being toxic and poisonous. And yes, in some ways it is, because chemotherapy, for example, is designed to be poisonous because it's there to kill the cancer cells. But I think just because something is known to be man-made doesn't make it inherently dangerous, and just because something is natural doesn't make it a safe, less risky option to go for. In my experience, 9 out of 10 patients who originally opt for alternative therapy eventually come back wanting traditional medical treatment, but usually by that time it's too late and the cancer has spread far more than it should have. I also think people are lured into a false sense of hope with alternative therapy. The only reason why someone such as Steve Jobs, who had access to so much and could have had any treatment he wanted right off the bat, would choose to go for something like alternative therapy would have been that someone reassured him that this was going to be curative and this was going to give him a cure. And I think that sometimes people get lured into this whole false sense of reassurance and hope in alternative medicine compared to conventional medicine. Secondly, I think he wastes time. Ultimately, what killed Steve Jobs was time. Time wasted pursuing a treatment that was never going to cure him. Time wasted where he could have been having conventional treatment, which may have prolonged his life. In my opinion, I think alternative therapy has its place, but I think it should serve as complementary medicine alongside conventional therapy. There's no problem with someone wanting to use, for example, acupuncture for symptom control, or to have Reiki, or to go on a special diet that they think would improve their chances. But I think having this as the mainstay of treatment is quite dangerous. I've seen patients who present way too late because they were already chasing these alternative therapies, or go from being curative to now being palliative because they've spent too much time chasing hope for something that would not have cured them. In addition to that, in most situations, alternative therapies do not have enough research to back their efficacy, and so sometimes you might end up in worse condition than when you started. When Steve Jobs was initially forming Apple, he approached the then CEO of Pepsi and asked him, "Do you want to sell sugared water all your life, or do you want to come and join me and change the world?" Now, Steve Jobs himself did change the world, but sadly he didn't live long enough in the world he changed to enjoy it. That's the end of this video, guys. I hope that you found that useful. If you did, as usual, please leave me a like and also leave me a comment. Let me know, have you tried any alternative medicine therapies, and for what did you try them for? How did you find them? Did you get on well with them? Let us know in the comments. I'd like to know what people's experiences are, and also if you'd like to see more videos like this, please consider subscribing to my channel. Thank you. Bye.